All right, Geek Stackers, it's been a minute. We're going to get back to some news and things that you probably want to hear. Welcome to the Geek Stack Podcast.
Howdy, geeks and geekettes.
Howdy,
nerds and dorks.
Yeah. We got a lot of stuff to cover. What do you think you want to start with today? I'll let you take the lead.
Let's start with the best news coming out of the comic book industry.
Ooh,
Rippaverse.
Rippaverse
just dropped.
It's
been a week. They got 11,000 orders.
Okay, so
raised already $1.3 million, and the campaign is not over yet. The campaign just started.
It's got a couple months. Yeah, that's
look,
pretty
I'm
crazy.
gonna start plugging Rippaverse everywhere I go. I'll be like, hey,
I'm buying some merch.
Comics.
I'm buying some merch.
Yeah,
I'm gonna buy a hat.
Yeah,
I'm gonna buy a hat and a shirt. So right now, as it stands, cover A. I might even buy that cover C, the foil cover. It's like $100, but it's like super limited. So cover A has sold.
Cover C.
Yeah, cover A has sold 8,027 copies. Cover B 8,600 copies. Cover C 2,993 copies. The total sale. So the campaign pre-order goal was $350,000. Excuse me. He was at $650,000 in a couple hours. So the website, just so people know, the website went down for about 22 hours.
Crashed, yeah.
If the website had not went down, he would have beat the last campaign in his race to 1 million. So technically, you could say he got to 1 million in under 24 hours. Last time it took him 30 hours.
Like 2 million.
Yeah. So right now he's at 1.3, not pretty much $1.4 million in a week. That's
the thing about it is he made all this before he started doing the orders, so he just has all this stock already.
Right.
And it's just it's Rippaverse is doing some crazy things, and they got an older writer from was it DC?
Chuck.
What's the dude's name?
Freaking Dixon.
Look, Chuck Dixon is legendary. If they could get Chuck Dixon and Keith Williams on the same comic book, it's over.
So Chuck Dixon is working on the first Alpha Core comics already written.
Yeah.
So they have not released who the artist is yet. They have not said who it is. So yeah. the speculation is running wild right now.
Starting now.
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows what's gonna be? But Rippaverse is the Rippaverse situation is kind of indicative of probably what we're going to talk about for most of this episode, where it's like the powers that be are trying to usurp like all these things that nerds hold dear and make it something that it's not. And nerds are fighting back. Like, this is all we've had.
Agreed.
For 40 something years.
Agreed.
And they're trying to insert stuff into it that doesn't make any sense and be like, yeah, so you guys are no longer going to be the arbiters of what's passable and not in these industries. And we're like, the heck are you talking about?
Yeah, hold up. Like, this is
right.
This
Like
space.
Wait a minute.
What do you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's indicative of like whenever these corporate money heads get involved with things like this, it always becomes garbage. Because instead of being focused on the core audience and what they actually like, they're like, how can we get more money or how can we look better than this company? And it's like, nobody cares about all this intersectionality people are doing. Like, if you want to have stories like that in your comic books, that's cool. But if you make that the forefront of everything, people aren't going to like it. And I think we're seeing that now with the hemorrhaging of the comic book industry.
Agreed.
And things like Rippaverse being bolstered up even more.
Yeah, and look, the excitement of the Rippaverse is, I'll tell you how I know people are like this is a real thing. Like, people are really excited about the Rippaverse. So for those of you who don't know, we both have several different YouTube channels. I have a Bible channel that I've been doing for almost 4 years now. That's what started my YouTube content creation journey. I have another channel that is called The Thinkening, where I go over news, politics, comic books, a myriad of things, which is why I called it The Thinkening. It's my thinking on many issues. That channel, I had maybe 20 subs. I covered the Rippaverse within 3 videos. This was last year. I had 260 something subscribers, and 2 of my Rippaverse videos got views in the thousands. This is from a channel with almost no subs, where I was getting maybe 10, 15 views, to some videos that now on average, if I cover Rippaverse, thousands of views or hundreds of views almost right out the gate. That tells me, look, the reason manga has taken over.
Well, hold on.
Wait a minute. Hear me out. Comic book fans in the United States, I'm talking about in the United States. The reason manga took over in the United States is, I can admit, the stories are better. It's not my cup of tea, but the stories are better. I recognize that. Like, comic book fans want good stories. We're tired of trash. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Well, I can say a lot more about that.
Go ahead. Go in.
Stories.
Go in.
Okay.
I know it's more than just the stories, but
As a comic book fan, you have all these continuities that split into 8 different timelines, and like, oh well, this is retcon and this isn't retcon, and it's like, if you want to know what happens to Batman, you got to go to this Justice League comic. Then after that Justice League comic, you got to go to this Nightwing comic, and it's like, it's cool how they interconnect it, but there has got to be a way to make it more cohesive, right?
Yeah,
and if Rippaverse can get that right, when they start making more comic books and more interconnected stories, it's game over. They will be the new Marvel. They will be the new DC. Well, in terms of like how many people read the comic books and support them, right? I mean, obviously, right now, a lot more people support Rippaverse than they support, the big comic book industry.
I'm gonna be honest. What you said is exactly right. And one of the things that Eric July said from the get-go, like right out the gate, he was like, look, we're not gonna be doing endless reboots, endless multiversal, things we're going to keep a story continuous where you can actually follow what's going on.
They got it. It's a 3-1 lead. They got it.
Yeah, I agree. I think even though the Rippaverse doesn't have the footprint of, let's say, a Marvel or a DC, when you look at what he's done, this independent creator, think about, okay, so he made $3 million off the first Isom campaign, but here's what people are not paying attention to. When that campaign is over, he's not, I don't, as far as I know, he's not really keeping you abreast of the money he's made off sales after that. You can still buy Isom #1.
That's true. And even like the merch and even the stuff he makes off his YouTube channel as well. Look,
his YouTube channel, his merch, and I don't know what other business ventures. I know he's in a band, and I don't know what other business ventures he has. The man could have invested in real estate. He seems like a smart dude, right? Living in Texas. So I would imagine he's invested in real estate and probably has multiple streams of income. And this is what the detractors don't realize.
Because there's no way to shut him down. Like, so I remember he was getting in a Twitter beef with some like DC artists, and the artist was talking about how he was just doing it for the money because he was charging so much for the comic books.
Was it DC or was it one of the writers from CBR? I think it might have been one of the writers.
Oh, it might have been the writer from CBR.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was going back and forth, and he's like, because it's obvious he's not doing it for the money, but he puts deliberate work into the comic books that he makes, and even the material of the comic book shows its value when you open it up and you see it. And he doesn't seem like someone who's in this for the money, because he was in the comic book industry for what, 20-something years?
As far as like reviews, I don't know what his place in the comic book industry is exactly.
If anyone in the comments wants to let us know, please do.
Yeah. I don't know. I know he reviewed comics. I don't know if he wrote comics or anything like that, or so I think he was involved in a comic book industry somehow, but I'm not 100% positive on that. But
my point is, like, you can see the love that he has for this industry.
It's a passion.
And he is actually someone who cares about the industry outside of the realm of, oh, you can make money off of this, right? And that's the problem that you run into when you have all these, like, people like, you remember the G4 incident, the stuff going on with the gaming industry right now. Like, it's all just rampant and cancerous.
I think what happened with G4 was
hilarious.
I won't say that. I won't say that. I'll
say it's hilarious because you remember what was that chick's name? What was it?
Oh man,
with the short white hair.
I can't remember.
But
now.
I remember. Also, I think it's the Black Hokage was on that. I'm disappointed in him. I don't know what he was on, but right in the middle of like one of their videos, she was like, "If you don't want to watch the show, don't watch the show. Like we don't have any time for all these toxic masculinity, blah blah blah, this and that." And it's like they don't understand their core audience. Like I don't think anybody in the gaming industry is sexist, right? But if you just keep calling people misogynistic and toxically masculine, even though they're just like they're just chilling, even if they're not the people that are actually being toxic, they're gonna clock out. I clocked out. I was watching G4 up until that clip. I was like, "Oh, G4 is back. That's what's up." That clip happened. I'm like, "All right, I'm done."
Well,
I already know what y'all on.
I'll say this. Are there people in the industry, in the geek space, across video games, across
Of course.
that are sexist, probably misogynist? But yeah, there's no way.
I'm one of them.
That's like saying you're hilarious.
No way.
That's like saying that racism doesn't exist at all, right? People are racist. Now, to what the thing is it exaggerated? To what degree can it affect you? What will it actually do to you? And this is where I think people run into a problem personally.
So the thing about it is there's a YouTuber, what was her name? Melanie Mac, right? Huge nerd, right? Big gamer. And people were talking about how there's a problem with like the toxicity in gaming when people are talking crap on chat. And it's like, dog. And she pretty much expressed it in the perfect way. Like, you got to nut up. Like, people are going to talk crap to you, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, whether you're black, whether you're white. That is just how games are. Like, talking crap over game chat, it don't matter what you are. They will start cooking you for anything. You lost a leg, they're like, yeah, you crippled. Like, they will cook you, right? And it's not, it's like so toxic that it can't be sexist, racist, or like misogynistic because everybody getting it.
Right.
Everybody getting it. So it's just a matter of understanding the boundary. And obviously there are, as someone who's in the gaming industry and who understands this stuff,
Frost
there are
was her
definitely
name.
people.
Frost was her name. Yeah, I was looking it up.
But
I was like, why can't I remember her name?
There are definitely people who are sexist and misogynistic, but just making that a blanket term makes it harder to realize who those people actually are. So when you label it as for everyone, right, the people who are actually fans of it, which are mostly men, are gonna feel attacked and be like, "What the heck are you doing? I'm out. I'm done."
Agreed. I agree 100%. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like you say the industry trash, the industry's being destroyed. Well, yes, because you're the one destroying the industry. You don't realize there are things that you are doing that is off-putting, that doesn't sit right with the actual fans of whatever it is, whether it be games, whether it be comic books, whether it be sci-fi in general. I mean, we could talk about the success of Breath of the Wild and the success of Tears of the Kingdom. And what that says.
Gosh.
Yeah, what does that say?
That game.
You have a game that does it have the best graphics ever? No. Are the graphics better than the new Microsoft hardware or the new Sony hardware? No. But why is the game doing so well? Because the creators said, we're going to create a good game with a good storyline and great gameplay, giving the fans what they want. Yes, I would love to see good visuals. Speaking of which, I don't want to offer any spoilers. I know we're kind of jumping all over the place. We'll digress and come back to Rippaverse, but I just have to say this. I saw The Flash. The special effects are so terrible that even yes, yeah.
So it was like the Flash CW season 6.
No, the CW Flash had better special effects than the movie.
Have you seen the last 3 seasons?
I didn't see the last 3 seasons, but
see the last 3 seasons. Okay, but say that again.
The fact that a show at any moment had better special effects than a movie with that budget is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like
I think the saving grace is the fact that it's a universe restart, so that's good.
Now, I want to say this. The movie's been getting a lot of hate. The plot was good, in my humble opinion. They handled the multiverse in a very good way. There was, I'm not going to say nothing in it was woke at all, but it wasn't a woke movie by any stretch of the imagination. It was just a good plot. But the special effects, oh my goodness, that really...
That bad?
But
See,
I
if you
will
want
say
to see
this:
good special effects, you got to see the new Spider-Verse movie.
seeing Michael Keaton don that cowl, yo, I'm not
So
gonna
I have a
lie.
question.
I'm not
I
gonna
have a
lie.
question.
Let me say this before you get. I have to say this. Those fight scenes with Michael Keaton were legendary. Like, I'm talking great Batman legendary. I just had to say that.
Do they play the Danny Elfman theme for Batman in the movie at all?
Which theme
Dun,
is?
dun, 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 dun.
Yes, yes. If I'm not,
Okay.
yeah, if I'm not
That's the
mistaken,
only
they
thing I
did.
care about.
Yeah,
If they didn't play
yeah,
that, I wouldn't watch the movie. I'll
yeah.
have to see it this week. We could do a review.
Yeah, yeah,
Next
yes.
podcast.
See it. We'll do a review. It was good. It's worth seeing, but it's not groundbreaking by any stretch of the imagination. I'd heard some.
Speaking of groundbreaking, have you seen the new Spider-Verse movie?
Yes, absolutely,
Yo,
absolutely. But before we digress, let me back up a little bit because you kind of got off
way off
topic.
topic. Yeah.
The Rippaverse, the Saska sisters working on Yaira #1, Chuck Dixon working on Alpha Core. Chuck Dixon even said he's creating an original character for the Rippaverse. Chuck Dixon himself is creating a
Wild.
character for the Rippaverse.
Wild.
Already started writing the comic. I'm like, this is it is already an exciting venture now that you're getting like a rogues gallery of different creators who are disenfranchised. And look, I'm gonna be honest. For those of you who may listen to Geek Stack that may be leftist, I don't care what you are. Like literally, I don't care what you are as far as the geek space. We just want good content. And I'm sure even you have to recognize that comic books have sucked. When I walk into a comic book store and I'm just like, and this has happened multiple times in the last 4 years. I walk in and I'm just like, yeah, I don't, this is
Okay.
new. This is,
I'm gonna have to give you some pushback a little bit on that, right?
I'm not saying
Because
it's not
there
good at
are
all.
there's some good comic books.
I agree with you. I'm not saying it's not good at all. I'm saying as a whole, I'm so disinterested in comic books that I don't even see the good ones. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm
That's
just
fair.
so disinterested now that I'm just like, I'm just tired of all of this. I'm tired of all of that. I'm tired of reboots. I'm tired of multiversal
Reboots be
reboots.
killing me.
I'm tired of characters being killed only to be brought back. Don't give me drama. Give me a good story. I'm not reading comic books because I'm looking for a soap opera. I'm looking for a good story. Goodness. That's my soapbox. But
So you were
Rippaverse,
talking earlier.
Rippaverse with all of those things, he's offering that. I think he's drawing in talent.
Oh yeah, so there was someone who got fired from the comic book industry for not being like woke enough or something like that, and she ended
Yeah.
up working for Rippaverse like a few months later.
Yeah, the colorist for Gabe El Taib. He's the colorist for the original
it's him.
Isom
All right.
#1. Yeah, I believe it was him. Somebody said so. Somebody in my comments on my last Thinking video said that the art in Isom #1 sucked, and I'm like, I don't know what book you were reading,
Shruggy?
and I've been following comic books since I was 13. I'm 43 years old. That last Isom book was good. Now, am I saying, oh, this is the greatest art I've ever seen? No, by no means, but it was good art. It's for somebody to say that art wasn't good, I'm like, oh yeah, you capping. You super capping. You super mega
It's no
10-gallon
It's no
capping.
It's no Greg Capullo, but it's pretty.
It was
good.
pretty good. And I've seen, some of the art coming out of Marvel and DC.
Sucking. Be sucking. I don't know what like this new art style they're using is, where it's
Nah,
more
son.
cartoonish. I'm like, yo,
That I
because
don't,
I saw it in Nightwing, because Nightwing, how they draw Batman in the Nightwing comic books. I'm like, bruh, what the heck? I didn't like it at all.
yeah, and I'm not saying all of the art is terrible, and I'm not saying I dislike new art styles, but I
Just not a
agree with
fan.
you. It doesn't sit well. Like I'll look at a cover and I'm like, yo, when I used to draw, this is the level I was at, and I didn't think I was ready for the comic book industry. If I was still drawing now, looking at the art that I see on some of these comics, I'm like, oh, I could get a contract with Marvel or DC. And I was
Well,
amateur.
no, because you're not woke enough. I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah, that's right. That's
You
right.
can't.
You're
All right,
correct.
you don't have the they them in your bio. You gotta, you're
Here
normal. You gotta.
here's another thing that the Rippaverse proves. You can create original black characters and people will be into the characters. You don't have to retrofit an already existing character.
Look,
And that's
I
one of
think
the
we talked about
problems.
this. I think we talked about this like a few podcasts ago, where they only replace ginger characters with black people.
Yeah, super interesting.
Ain't that interesting?
Yeah, I don't know what the I'm not
I think we both know. I think we both know what it is.
But and that really is off-putting, doesn't sit well, and it makes me wonder, okay, what is your goal here? Like, what are you
It's
trying
gotta
to
be some
do?
type of sick joke.
The thing is, okay, so what makes Rippaverse so far good? It's not that Isom is black. It's not that other characters are black. There's white characters. Obviously, he has Alpha Core. He has Yaira, which is Yaira right now is one of the most popular characters. Like people are clamoring to read a Yaira comic book. Again, this shows that this fake race war that people have injected into the comic book industry is not a real thing. Now, again, this doesn't mean there aren't people who are racist within the industry. But what I'm saying is people have created a bigger issue out of something that is not really a huge issue. And to me, that's a big problem.
I mean, speaking of people that are making things that aren't an issue into an issue, you been there about what's going on with Call of Duty? Call of Booty?
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
So about
Nick
was
Merckx.
it 7 days ago, about a week ago, Nick Merckx, one of the biggest Call of Duty YouTubers, to the point to where he has his own operator in Call of Duty, formally speaking.
Which is
right?
crazy. Yeah.
He saw this video somewhere in California where parents were arguing with some LGBT activists.
Okay, so let me
'cause they were trying to-
offer a little context before you continue. So parents have gotten word of different things going on within school concerning their children. They don't like it. It's not that they don't want the alphabet people to exist. It's not that they're saying you can't exist and we don't like you and we don't want you around. What they're saying is, yo, don't teach this to my kids. This is my choice. I will decide when and where I talk to my kids about these issues. That's it. That's the whole crux of the whole thing. That is it.
So, right, exactly. And Nick Merckx, when he saw the video, he responded with, "Just leave the kids alone," right?
Simple.
And then Call of Duty took his operator out of the game because he said that, and then he clarified it in a stream later on, and that's exactly what he said.
Yeah, and I agree.
I don't care about any of this, but I'd much rather me be the person that teaches my kid this.
Yeah,
right.
When I saw that, I was like, agreed.
And so what they did was they banned his character. So Tim the Tap Man, right, one of the other biggest Call of Duty YouTubers and streamers right now.
And this is crazy. This is a crazy
He sent
story.
them a message. He was like, "If you guys are gonna take his operator out, take mine out too. Take mine out too." And they did it, right? And not only that, Dr. Disrespect, which in my opinion is the biggest Call of Duty YouTuber and streamer right now, right? The biggest one, uninstalled Call of Duty until they apologize to Nick Merckx. He said he is done playing. Like, that is crazy.
That's nuts.
They are, because Call of Duty was already struggling in the first place because their game sucked. Okay, they had like a few games that were decent, but the game just started sucking. And now the biggest Call of Duty YouTubers are like, "Yeah, we're done." They're cooked.
Yeah,
They're cooked.
That's not good. That's not good.
It's not, and it's like it's a return to what we were talking about earlier with Rippaverse, where it's like people in the nerd and geekdom spaces are getting tired of this. Like we're tired.
Yeah.
We just want good content. We don't care if you have sex with dudes, if you have sex with men, if you have sex with women, but don't just start talking to kids about this stuff that are like 5, 6. And then if we have an opinion that you don't necessarily agree with, doesn't mean you have to destroy my entire ability to make money or to be able to participate in the geek space.
Here's again, this kind of goes back to the segment we just had. Why don't you just go create your own thing? And this is the same thing.
Well, so Doctor Disrespect is making his own game.
No, not him. Not him. I'm talking about the people that want to push their agenda. Go create your own thing. And
Because that'd be too
push.
difficult.
It is difficult creating your own thing. And and I think, as a side note, I think this is why YouTube is going so hard trying to stamp out certain voices, because look, let's keep it real. None of us are surprised that YouTube has policies that lean one way. Not shocking.
Yeah.
We understand who runs these companies. But what they don't like is their entities, their utilities have allowed people to create an alternative space. Me and you could never have a show like this 35 years ago. It would be very limited for us to get our voice out there,
Right.
to say things that people may or may not want to hear. And yeah, we don't get a whole bunch of views on this channel. Maybe that'll change. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. But if even one person hears this and thinks, hey, you know what? I think he's right. And then that idea spreads. You see, it's the idea that propagates. It's not necessarily the content in and of itself, even though the content is a part of it. It's the idea that spreads. And look, in a realm where free ideas are allowed to compete, look, whatever idea has the most traction is going to win. It just so happens that reasonable people are making reasonable arguments, and those reasonable arguments are gaining traction, and the powers that be don't like it.
Well, because those reasonable arguments are bigoted, Dad.
Yes,
and he's
obviously.
a fascist.
Clearly.
No, so I saw Hassan Piker, which he's famous for his horrendous takes. Okay, there's people who like him. I get it. I don't really get it, but he was talking about how Nick Merckx was wrong in what he said, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
it doesn't even compute to me. Like, regardless of how you feel politically, if somebody wants to raise their kids a certain way,
let them
and it's not them abusing their kids,
right?
That's none of your business. Like it's my body, my choice, but not my kid.
Well, you see, herein lies the problem. The real problem is we don't want your ideas to thrive in your children. Because if your ideas thrive in your children, then they'll thrive in your children's children, and then they'll propagate, and then my idea won't spread. Well, here's the thing. If you have a better idea, give me your better idea. Let's reason this out. Let's see if your idea is convincing enough that I agree and believe, okay,
right,
you are correct.
And if there are parents that want to raise their kids gay, that's none of my business. Or who want to talk to their kids about this stuff, that's none of my business. I don't care. It's your kid. Right?
Yeah,
but if I have my own kid and someone's like, yeah, we're gonna start teaching them this stuff, I'm like, dog, it's not how we roll. Like, I'm the person who should be talking about this stuff.
Right. So I'll take a slightly different stance. Not completely different from yours, but as a believer, yeah, I do care what you teach your kids, but I can't force.
If we're talking about that, then
no, but I get what you're saying. Like,
reason,
I can't force you to teach your kids a certain thing.
Exactly.
I care. I do care. You know, I would hope you teach your kids things that are just, that are right, that are pure. But if you don't, I can't go into your house and say, all right, I'm now going to indoctrinate your kid against your will because you wouldn't teach them what I think.
Yeah.
Like,
so I think I
madness.
didn't represent my point all accurately, I guess. Because like when I say I don't care, I say I don't care in a sense of how is me forcing you to believe what I believe gonna help anyone?
No one. It helps no one.
Right. So I don't care in the sense of if you don't want to raise your kids how I raise my kids, what am I gonna do? Make you?
Right.
Like they're trying to do now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like,
yeah, it's not the way to go. And that's, I think that idea, that mentality, I don't know which came first. I would say indoctrination of kids came first, but this is. These things are now injecting themselves in the geek culture, and I think you're beginning to see the pushback, which is actually exciting. It's actually exciting. I think the pushback really is real. Like, people are voting with their dollars. So like, I'm not supporting your trash anymore. I went from starting collecting comic books when I was 13 all the way up till I was 18, went into the military, fell off for many years, picked back up in my early 30s, and, you know, buying comic books, excited. There's a lot of things going on. And I noticed something around 2014. Now, it was probably happening before then. I'm sure it was, but that's when I noticed it. I was going to the comic book store and I'm like, yo, what is happening? Like, some of these comic books
sucking.
Yeah, like, what is going on? And what I think what happened is we are beginning to move from a meritocratic system where we're moving into a social points based system. Like,
I mean, the ESG score thing.
You
is
have
real.
these characteristics. So you know what? Because you're this and you're this and you're that, we're going to give you this position. I don't care about that. Are you skilled? Can you create a good story? Can you draw? Can you write a good script? That should be what's the basis of people getting a job. Not, oh, you are part of the alphabet community, you are some minority, you automatically get the position. This doesn't make for good art. And I think people are beginning to vote with their dollars and they're like, yo, I'm out. I'm out.
So something that I'm noticing is, like, the greatest gatekeepers I've ever met in my entire life are people who are geeks. Okay, we gatekeep to the highest regard, and for the past like 7 years, we've kind of just been like, you know, is everybody, you know, it's cool, and look where we're at. So people are trying to be like, oh no, we gotta start gatekeeping again, and that's what's going on. That's what's going on with the comic book thing. That's what's going on with the gaming thing right now. Because even like, to be more specific, talk about something else kind of similar, like the FaZe Clan thing. That is crazy. You hear about that?
I don't know much about what's going on with that. So I'll let you take the lead. What's happening with FaZe
Clan? Like 7-8 years ago, was usurped by these like corporate heads people, right? And the founders didn't really have much sway in what was going on.
Here we
and
go.
they've just been
I've heard this story.
They've just been adding people to FaZe that don't make sense for the brand. Like, they added Snoop Dogg to FaZe, and Snoop Dogg doesn't even help the brand. He made like one video and that was it. Like, he doesn't even do anything to help the actual brand of FaZe. They're just adding people because, oh, this is the popular choice, or this is what we think would help people, right? So then FaZe Clan was dealing with some things about sexism and stuff like that, and people are sexist, whatever. So they added the streamer that knew nothing about the fan base, knew nothing about the clan prior to joining, and talked to none of the founding members at all before joining, right? People were pissed. Right? Because it just didn't make any sense. And people are like, well, you can't add this person. It's just, like, she doesn't make sense for the brand. And then like some founders had some issues with it. That she had beef with one of the founders, and it was just a whole thing blowing up, right? But that goes to say, the fact that people were angry about this enough to make videos, to talk about it, and to like tweet about it continuously shows that people in the geek space are starting to fight back against these corporatists trying to bring all these ideas into the geek space that don't make any sense, that helps no one, right? And they're like, yo, y'all been destroying this for like 10 plus years. We're fighting back now. We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
We're done. Let you guys just bastardize the things that we love the most.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
People are voting with their dollars, just like I said. And I think there are many people within the geek space that so enjoy what it is they buy, right? Like, whether it be a movie ticket or a video game or a comic book. And when somebody takes that joy, it's like, okay, I was cool with you, you know, getting jobs within the community.
Right. But now you mess with my baby.
Yeah, I was cool with you, you know, every now and again throwing something in. I didn't really care for it, but it didn't bother me. But now that you've co-opted my whole shtick, now I'm good. Now I'm out of here. I'm looking for something else. And what happened when I saw this news with Nick Merckx? And you know, I don't follow game streamers like that. I'm out of that loop. This hit every bit of mainstream news. This hit channels that I follow that have nothing to do with gaming. I'm like, yo, this is a big deal. Like,
it is. This is a really
big deal.
When the biggest people in your industry have issue with you, the creator of that industry, you have a problem. And you're starting to see that with places like Twitch as well. Like a quick way to segue off, you know. Like, you've been seeing what's going on with Twitch too?
A lot of streamers.
The same thing. They have like a, you know how like the subscriber system works on Twitch, where somebody subscribes for like a certain dollar amount a month, and they get certain privileges like emotes, surface, and subscriber only mode. They can comment and stuff
Right.
like that, right? So the split for the revenue you got from subscribers used to be something like 60-40, right?
So
But if you had like a
you get
contract with
60 or did
Twitch,
Twitch get 60? Who got the
Twitch
60?
got 40 and you got 60.
Okay, that's not
And
bad.
that was like
Yeah, it's not
like the
terrible.
normal range. But if
Yeah.
you signed with them, you got something like 70-30 or like 80-20. Right?
Okay.
Now everyone has a 50-50 split.
Oh yeah, and this, yo, when this is not
That's
my
not even the
Bible
worst
channel,
part.
but I got to comment on this. When the Bible says, "For the love of money is the root of all evil," not money, contrary to popular belief,
The
the
love
love
of
of
money.
money. You see how this plays out in industries. You see how money corrupts. Like everything was going well, and then the money came in. You see this in entertainment. You see it in music. You see it in art. You see it in just every fat business, right? We can talk about what happened with Budweiser and Dylan
Oh, my
Mulvaney and
goodness.
that backlash and how this is Budweiser has opened the floodgates and created a cultural phenomenon.
Modelo's the number one selling beer. Right
Not
now
only
in
that,
America.
the number of brands that put up the alphabet community symbol in the month of June and then pulled it down right away is kind of crazy.
Hilarious.
I'm like, this is kind of crazy because
It reminds me of that clip of the dude who's at church. He's like, I ain't gay no more.
yeah, like you've pushed so far that now people are like, okay, we were cool. You were doing your thing. You have the right to do your thing, even if I don't agree. But now you've gone too far. Now you're targeting children, and it's clear you're targeting children. We're not cool with this, which goes back to the point Nick Merckx made. Like, yo, do whatever you want, but nah, leave the kids alone. Leave the kids alone.
The fact that he got in trouble with that, they kind of exposed themselves.
I agree.
Which is crazy because I don't think any logical person would disagree with somebody saying, "Hey, let's leave the kids out of this." I think we'd all agree, like, yeah, you know what? Fair point. Leave the kids out of this. It's, I don't know, and Twitch has been doing stuff like that for a while, where like they will only support certain groups of people, no matter how big other groups get, right?
right.
Like they'll give deals to people. Like used to give deals out to people who were like the top streamers. And there's this one streamer, Kai Cenat. He has been the number one streamer on Twitch for a hot minute, the most subscribed streamer of all time, right? On their platform. No deal. Nobody reaching out. He doesn't even get put on the homepage.
That's crazy.
Right? And he still streams on Twitch. Everybody keeps telling him to move somewhere else because it doesn't seem like they appreciate him, right? And there's a lot of people that moved over to places like Kick, right? You have like people like Aiden Ross who moved over to Kick. And then you got people like Bruce Dropomoff moved over to Kick. And the biggest streamer on their platform, XQC, took a deal to stream on Kick for $100 million for 2 years, and it's non-exclusive.
Wow.
Twitch is hemorrhaging.
Wow. That's
I give Twitch
crazy.
2 years. 2 years at most, and they're done. And they're done.
The most insane thing is I remember when Twitch started.
I remember when it was Justin TV.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and it used to be like about gaming, and now it's like the people who are gamers get banned every other day, right? And the only people that get propped up is like the good-looking, palatable streamers that you see, like the Hassan Pikers or the Pokemains, or
Yeah.
the Saikunos. And then when you have like the actual gamers who just play games and actually want to stream on the platform, they get banned every other day. And there was Kai Cenat, the dude I was talking about, biggest streamer on the platform, right? He got banned for 7 days for going into the strip club in GTA 5 too many times.
Wow.
And then there was that girl who was
Wow.
having sex on stream, 1 day ban.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. So I think what's happening is people who are geeks are really unorthodox. And I don't think the establishment realize that. Geeks typically are rogue. We hold a bunch of
doing our
different
own thing.
viewpoints across the spectrum. And I don't think the establishment understood that. They thought geeks were this hive mind, which is not true. If anybody Anybody with common sense, hold on, let me make this point. Anybody with common sense that would walk into a comic book shop where a card game is being played, whether it be Magic the Gathering or something else, and listen to the debates of these geeks, you would realize this is not a hive mind.
Multifaceted. No,
Yeah,
and
it's not a hive mind
like
at all.
as someone who's actually a geek who has a plethora of geek friends, as far as like political beliefs go, it's a spectrum. Like everybody believes different things, but we can still all come together and enjoy the things we enjoy, right?
I don't think the establishment was ready for that.
I have geek friends who are straight up just leftists, and we just talk about the things we enjoy, and it's chill, right? Because we're not stupid, and we're not like, oh, you disagree with me, that means you hate me. Like, no, that's not what that means.
Right. So I think the establishment is looking to control narratives, and they're looking to bring everyone into a certain fold. And I don't think they were ready for the geek space as it is. And I think we're beginning to see the results of that. And like you said, look at the streamers that are propped up. What are they trying to do? They're trying to corral everyone into a certain belief. And this goes back to a point I made earlier about YouTube. Now, how this affects the geek space is, for a long time, this is the stance we had as geeks. We don't care about your politics, no matter what it is I believe. I don't care if you agree with me. I don't care about that. I don't care what you do. Just give me some good content. And I think what's now beginning to happen is geeks are realizing, I think it was a Roman politician, it might have been a Greek politician, as a matter of fact, that said, he who does not care about politics will realize that politics cares about him. Whether we want to be involved in this or not, we're starting to realize that, I can't just be quiet. I don't like this is a geek podcast. I don't want to talk about political issues.
I want to talk about comic books and Batman Beyond.
I have to.
That's what I want to talk about.
But I have to, because this thing has encroached into the space of geekdom, right? And now I'm forced to be more upfront about what I think politically. Now, I don't care if you disagree, but when you get to the point where we're arguing about whether we should be doing overt sex acts and teaching sex acts to kids, bruh, you've lost the plot.
And people will talk about when that argument comes like, oh, well, would you care if this kid went to a strip club? Like, yes, we would care if the kid went to a strip, because that's also bad. Like, it's not one is right, one isn't right. It's like, no, all of it is not okay.
Right. Leave the kids alone.
Like, and then you hear about what they said about we were trying to say about Gwen Stacy in the Spider-Verse movie.
Oh, they wanted her to be trans?
I was like, dude, what are y'all
like, why is
about?
Why is that a thing? Why is it? So I'm going to tell you what I think is happening. I mentioned this last podcast. When Miles Morales was first introduced, so
I remember.
Yeah, so
people were angry.
Hold on.
People called him N-word man.
So hold on. I don't think people were angry initially. I don't think there was a backlash, but it wasn't huge. Because I'll tell you what I found. I didn't know anything about Miles Morales. Did I buy any physical copies? I think I bought it on Comixology first because I was overseas. And I was like, this is actually a decent story. It didn't feel like they were doing it just for the sake of being tokenized. And then I found out why Miles Morales was created, which is actually a great story. Do you know the story?
You know about the whole, I know the story with Childish Gambino?
Yes. Daniel Glover was wearing a Spider-Man outfit, getting out of bed, in the community, and the creator was like, and that's cool. What inspired Miles Morales.
Yeah, and it wasn't. That's why you see him in the Spider-Man movies a lot,
right? It wasn't it wasn't a deal pushed out of tokenization.
It was just like, this would be an interesting idea,
right?
Boom.
Now this is what I think, and this is where comics geekdom in general has been co-opted and has made everybody angry. I think Miles Morales gets criticism from people on the right just because they've been rage baited into being mad about everything.
So and it's like the whole Quantumania thing too, where it's like they're becoming the very people they complained about for 7 years.
Right.
And Quantumania was good. I like Quantumania. I saw it recently.
I agree.
It was a good movie.
I agree. I think it was good. I think there was, subtle things here and there, shots
Especially with
made.
like the daughter. I was
Yeah,
like, all
but
right,
it wasn't so in my face and preachy
that it
down
was
my throat.
annoying.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm cool with that. That doesn't bother me. This is a good movie. And I think what you see with people who complained about Miles Morales, I'm reading it and I'm like, yo, I thought the story was good, but maybe I'm bugging. I was like, maybe I'm bugging and the story's not good. No, I believe Enter the Spider-Verse proves exactly what I thought initially. This
Into
is a
the
good story.
Spider-Verse was crazy good.
Yeah.
And the thing about the Miles Morales Spider-Man is the fact that it takes place in the Ultimate Universe where Peter Parker was already dead. So it's not like they're just retconning his story just to fit a black person in there. When they created his character, it canonically made sense with the universe, and it was cohesive.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. And I think the unfortunate thing is, like I said, you have this rage baiting on both sides and this constant rage battle going on. And I'm like, yo, I don't care about what you think or believe on some peripheral issue. Is your comic book good? Is it trash? Are you
Yeah,
trying to push an agenda that has nothing to do with a good story? If so,
I think we
that's
lost the
my
plot.
problem. Yeah.
I think we lost the plot in a lot of ways because there's even people on the right who do the same thing, where they push their politics and whatever they're making. I'm like, hey, bro, if this isn't good, it's not good. I don't care what type of
Right.
politics you pushing it.
This is
Like if
why
it's
Eric
trash, it's
July's
trash.
approach is working.
Because he's just making good stuff.
He's just like, I'm just going to make something good. Of course, he's a libertarian and he's made that known. I'm a libertarian. These values are going to shine, but I'm not going to preach this at you. That's not my point. My point is good comic book. He is being rewarded handsomely, and I love to see it. Not because I want my side to win against the other side. I want good content. That's it. I just want good content. I don't care who's putting it out. I don't care who it is. It could be the biggest raging leftist, anarchist, communist on the planet. If your book is good and it's just a good book with a good story, I don't care.
What'll confuse me sometimes is there's certain shows and things that I like that happen to be written by people who are leftists. And then when I talk to people about this, like, oh, well, do you know that this person you're a fan of, this person is this? I'm like, yeah. And doesn't make their stuff any less good.
Right. Their stuff is
tell
not
you.
bad just because I have a different belief system than them.
Right. Like obviously there's some stuff in there that I'm like, I don't necessarily agree with because that's what they believe, so it's gonna shine in some aspects. But it's not to the point where it's so annoying I can't
It's not
enjoy
preachy. It's not
Yeah.
preachy. I'm creating
Like,
something good.
I'll say a example of this that I like. Steven Universe. I like Steven Universe. I think it's a great show, right? There's a lot of leftist stuff that's put in the show, but the show is good enough to where it doesn't overshine the overarching story.
Right. So
Right.
you can enjoy it.
And what I enjoy about it. Exactly.
Right.
And people will be like, oh, well, Rebecca Sugar's a leftist. I'm like, cool. Okay, cool. Good for her. Show's still
Right.
good.
Right,
Doesn't make the
right.
show any less good.
Right. That's irrelevant to the point of the good story. And this is where, man, okay, so what did you think about the release trailer, the launch trailer for Isom #2, that cartoon?
The animation? Son, if they were to create an actual animation for that, gangbusters. Gangbusters. It's going crazy.
Yeah, I agree. If the Rippaverse created like some kind of, because you know how Eric July has his website and you can join the different subscription models. If they said, hey, anyone who joins and signs up, you'll get a Rippaverse cartoon a couple times a year.
I'm signing up.
Well, yeah, I'm signing. Like
signing
I
up.
want to see this. I want to see this cartoon. I think he is making leaps and bounds really quickly. So several things that I think show huge signs of the geek space being rejuvenated. And maybe this is a cycle, right? Things get stagnant, things go stale, then there's a
I
resurgence.
mean, there was a comic crash in the what 90s, I think.
Yeah, in the late 90s. But before that, there was the resurgence of comics, right? And I would say 89, 90, 91, 92, and 93, comics was going crazy. That's when the X-Men was
Wildcats.
rebooted with Jim Lee. That's when Image Comics was created. Spawn was created. You had all of these entities, being created at that time. And it was like, yo, this is good. Then storylines got stale. People were more concerned with drawing their characters,
Then
in a real like, yeah, in a
2005.
real like crazy like the drawing style just got like out of hand. Like, all right, we get it. Your character is
And I think in
muscular.
2005 it kind of tapered off again. In 2008 when New 52 started, and
That
then it
was
all started
the
getting
new
good again.
52.
New 52 is my favorite DC continuity of all time. And
I agree.
they
I'd have to
destroyed
agree.
it.
I'd have to
They
agree.
destroyed it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. New 52 was they should have stopped at the New 52 and said, "Okay, we're on to something." Which is okay. Again, not that this episode is all about Rippaverse, but look, let's keep it real. Rippaverse is the biggest new thing in geek culture right now that is not being covered.
It's literally like we're watching Image Comics be born right in front of our eyes.
Yes.
Like this must have been how it felt when that was happening.
It was. I can tell you as a comic book geek, when Image Comics was created, this is exactly how it felt. I remember the Wizard Comics magazine and reading about what's coming, the prices of different comic books, and reading about Image and all of the creators they had, Mark Silverstreet, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, Brett Booth, Scott Williams was doing some help. I don't think he was one of the creators, but he was helping on some of the inking. I was super excited.
And it's great to see stuff like that because as geeks, as nerds growing up, we all know what it feels like to be on the outside looking in, right? Not being part of the in crowd or of the
Right.
it crowd. Like that's how we all grew up, right? Obviously, every geek is different. There's probably some that, like especially nowadays, there's probably some that are cool, right?
Right.
But
Yeah,
me and
geekdom
you
is
growing
different
up,
now.
going through it, we know what it's like to be the person on the outside looking in who's not a part of the cool kids club,
Right.
And that's like how it feels looking at what's happening with Rippaverse. Like everybody with the powers that be are fighting against this man, saying everything they can to discredit what he's doing, and he's just like, "Hey, bro, I don't want to be part of the cool kids anyways."
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's gangster. That's
is gangster. That is gangster.
Eric-
He's like,
Eric
I
July
am the new
gangster,
cool
for sure.
kids. I am
Right?
the new cool kids. We've created our own thing. And I look, the fact that the biggest, like I did just for my own essay, my own situational awareness. I was like, yo, let me look at the biggest websites and see if they're covering the Rippaverse. I went to CBR. Was it Bleeding Cool? Eric July calls it something else. I won't, say that word. But anyway, and I went to a couple different other big websites. Not one single mention of the Rippaverse anywhere. No
Because if they
mention
talk
of
about that means
Isom.
it's real.
I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So I don't know if you've ever heard of what is the name of this comic book company? I'm gonna try to look for it. It's called like something Sands.
Dark Horse.
No. Is it Black Sands? Black Sands Entertainment or something like that. The dude, he went on some dang, I'm forgetting everything right now. And I just saw something
Black Sands Entertainment.
Yes, Black Sands Entertainment. Now, that guy, he wasn't crowdfunding. What was that show? That show that used to give people
Shark Tank.
Yeah, I think it was Shark Tank. And I saw an Instagram ad. Here's what's hilarious. I'm getting to a point. I saw an Instagram ad for Black Sands Entertainment 2 days ago. And on the Instagram ad, it was like the top selling African American comic book in history. And it was like 980,000, I want to say, that was raised
What
off
about
Shark Tank.
Isom
That's
number
exactly
one?
what I thought. I said Isom number one raised $3.7 million. 100% independent.
Isom number 2 already broke that record in like 2 days.
Yes, my exact point. So I was like, yo, the propaganda machine is so real. Why would I get this Instagram ad now on the week Isom number 2 releases? Why would Instagram give me that specific ad? I said the powers that be want to shape the narrative so bad they are terrified. Now, not terrified in the sense that they're afraid. I don't mean it in that way.
Well,
I mean,
they are.
want to
They are afraid.
control. They want to control what you think and where you get your thoughts from.
I might have to disagree with you because I do think that they're afraid because
Okay.
they know if they give Eric July any type of validity, right? people will actually pay attention and they'll start to realize, oh wait,
It's
this is
gone.
actually a good. You can have a good comic book without all this bull crap in it,
Yeah.
and they're jumping ship.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this. Eric July's price is going up.
Yeah,
Yo,
it is.
the excitement of Isom #2 just shows this is not a fluke.
No, yeah. So
And
next
look,
next
let me
paycheck, like
reiterate.
next week,
Let
I'm
me
buying
reiterate.
both.
Chuck freaking Dixon. This is the
The
dude.
legend.
This is the dude who created Bane. Am I misunderstood in that? Like
He did a lot of the really cool Batman stuff in the
Bruh.
80s and the 90s. Look,
and I think he was
like-
the one who wrote the original Nightwing series. I think it was Chuck
Really?
Dixon. I think it was Chuck Dixon because I think he mentioned this.
it's over.
Yeah, and I could be mistaken. Fact check me on that. But it was Nightwing or one of those original comics he worked on, and I'm like, yo, it's up. It's up.
Look, LeBron has already blocked the layup from Iguodala. Kyrie shot the 3 in Curry's face. It's over. It's over. It's over.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like I said, me getting that ad from Black Sands Entertainment this week, I was like, well, I've never read Black Sands. I never looked into this. There was one time I looked into it just because I think the creator of Black Sands was beefing with Eric July for whatever reason when Isom #1 was created. I think, don't quote me on that either, I believe. But I never even heard of Black Sands before that. I was like, what is this? And when I looked into it, I was like, yo, I'm not gonna say his comics are trash because I've never read them. It just didn't pique my interest. Right. So I'm not just gonna attack the dude and say they're trash. But to say you are the highest selling black, comic book I'm like,
Well,
bro.
you know what it is, actually? You know what it is? Eric July can't be black because he didn't vote for Biden.
That's gotta be
That's
what
what
it
it
is.
is.
Yeah, that's what
That's
it
what
is.
it is. He's not black no
It's
more.
got to be what it is. And look, just for the people who watch this who know, we don't care who you voted for. We don't
Yeah, I
care
just like making jokes.
what you think politically. But these are the attacks that are lobbed at people. Like, yo, are we so ridiculous that we cannot recognize something groundbreaking when it is happening? I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. Mark my words. People, the gatekeepers, are going to catch on to Eric July late. Not because they don't see what he's doing, but because it's not politically advantageous at this moment to embrace Eric July. By the time they embrace Eric July, we're not going to care what they say. It's going to be like, bro, we don't like, so what? Who cares about your website? We're already on to something else. People, I tell you right now, people who are covering the Rippaverse and other alternative, you got Ethan Van Sciver with Cyberfrog, which I'm going to buy a Cyberfrog comic. I didn't think I was going to.
Cyberfrog?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. So I don't know how familiar you are with Ethan Van Sciver. So he created the Green Lantern Corps, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that was his.
Sciver.
Yeah. He worked.
Oh, this looks hard.
Yeah,
Hold
he
on.
worked for DC and Marvel. There was something. Look, don't quote me on this, but there was something he created in the Green Lantern ethos that he still gets paid from to this day. But he's a good artist. He's a really good artist. Anyway, a lot of these things are not being covered by the mainstream, by the gatekeepers, or when it's being covered, it's being attacked. And look, channels that are covering these things and giving them real true coverage, like here's what I like, here's what I don't like, I think it's good, I'm not here to attack it, I'm just here to, is it good or not, right? Like, I'm not gonna stop reading Marvel and DC because I don't agree with the direction they're going in ideologically. If they put out something
I'm paying
that's
attention,
good,
but this Cyberfrog comic looked crazy.
yeah. Ethan Van Sciver is a
on.
great artist. He is a great, and guess what? I think him and Eric July got something in the tank that they haven't mentioned yet. I think Ethan Van Sciver, because I believe he's an artist, right? If I'm not mistaken, he is an
Yeah.
artist. I believe
His
Ethan
art
Van
looks crazy.
Sciver might be the artist on Alpha Core. That's my guess. as my
That could
guest.
be cool.
I'm not
Because I'm looking at the
100% sure.
Cyberfrog comic, and it
His art
looks
is
like I
his
might
art
give
is
me
real.
one.
Yeah, his art is real.
That's crazy.
So you remember that comic book store here locally? I won't mention where I'm at, on YouTube. But you remember that comic book store that used to be here locally? They
Oh,
had
the smaller one?
Yeah, they had a Cyberfrog comic section in there.
Wow.
Yeah, I was mad when they shut down. I was like, oh man. But anyway, what's going to happen is by the time these other entities catch on and they're covering, like, let's say in 3 years, let's say Rippaverse is still around. And let's say Rippaverse is going strong and they're gaining market dominance. And CBR starts covering Rippaverse. You think any of us is going to care? I don't care what CBR has to say.
It's like when people started catching on to anime later on, and people were like, "Yeah, we don't care anymore. We already moved on." Like it's like when that one mainstream anime gets a bunch of people to like it, and people who were actually into it are like, "Yeah, we found out about this years ago."
Yeah,
You
you
like,
late.
I don't care, bro.
You late.
Like
Yeah.
people just hopping on a wave. Just 'cause
welcome
it's
to the
cool now.
party. Yeah.
Right. Welcome to the party.
It's like, yeah, we're not paying attention to what you're saying. And I think that's what's going to happen in the geek space when it comes to comics and Rippaverse. Now, let's get back to the Nick Burks thing. I think Call of Duty might really be their own undoing.
Well, they've been their own undoing since Advanced Warfare. But
Agreed.
the only reason they've kind of been teetering on is because they didn't really have any competition. People are like, well,
Right.
they're going to keep making games to keep up. But
They've
this,
opened the door for competition.
the biggest Call of Duty streamers stopping playing Call of Duty.
Who's that one? That one Call of Duty streamer that stopped and started streaming Fortnite or something like that? It was some
Dr. Disrespect.
Was it Dr. Disrespect?
Yeah, he does Fortnite now.
That's crazy. That's so crazy. That's so crazy.
Call of Duty no more. It's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. Look, you.
2 times.
What on the planet Earth makes you think I'm gonna attack my core fans? That's the winning strategy.
DC and Marvel Comics.
Because they've been doing it for so long.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but so I think DC and Marvel Comics got away with it just because they have such a huge market share. Like
So does Call of Duty. But Call of Duty has been losing players.
Yeah. I don't think
over fist
I don't
for
think
years.
Call of Duty has the market share. You got Marvel and DC have like what 70 years of history, 70 plus years
Yeah,
of
they've
history.
almost been around for about 100 years.
That's a market share that you can't get in
Like I think
20, 30
Batman
years.
and Superman are invested into the ingrained culture of America.
Yeah, this is the I've always heard it said this way: American comic books are the American mythos, right?
Yeah.
Like Greeks have the Greek gods, the Romans have their gods. Comic
got
books,
DC and Marvel Comics.
yeah, that's the American mythos. So I think they kind of have an advantage in that for a while now. I don't think this will stay this way, right? Everything has its ebbs and flows, ups and downs. But I think for a while, Marvel and DC, they are the market. It wasn't that they had the biggest market share. They are the market.
Were the market.
But that is
Yeah.
changing. That is changing.
Because being able to create these things is a lot more accessible now.
Yeah. Oh. What did you see of Apple's Vision Pro?
I actually have not looked into it yet. People have been talking about it.
Bruh.
The only thing that's keeping me from doing it, that costs about a used car.
No. I'm not talking about, forget the cost. I'm not talking about actually buying one. When I tell you this is the closest thing to Ready Player One and not that far off. The technology in this I am telling you. Look,
I'll have to watch it.
When I saw the ad, I was kind of like, oh, they're getting into
That's
VR.
kind of how I am right now. Yeah.
Bruh, when I watched the presentation, look up Marcus Browling's coverage.
So my homie was watching that, and he said it's actually pretty dope.
There's a lot of
know.
Brian Tong, right? He does.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, Asian dude does YouTube videos on technology, covers a lot of Apple. Brian Tong, who's typically, he gives Apple a hard time, even though I think he's an Apple fan. When he came out of that presentation, you could tell he was visibly shook. He didn't have words. He was like, I don't even know like what just happened.
So on a scale of like original original Oculus to IOI Industries and Ready Player One, where are we at?
We are seconds away from IOI. Yeah.
Check this out.
Yeah. When I tell you, and you know, I'm not just gonna say that to say it. I'm gonna give you one thing about this Vision Pro that blew my mind. Apple has a way for the Vision Pro to look at your retina, tell exactly what you're focusing on just by looking and highlighting that item. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This might get crazy. Might have to call up James Holiday.
Yeah. Look, when I tell you, look, I became a fan of Apple during the iPhone 3G. I always said I would never buy an Apple device. I bought the iPhone 3G.
I remember that. I remember when you bought that, you were going crazy about that.
And I was like, yo, what is happening? I went from that to buying a Mac. I'm fully invested in the Apple sphere right now. Not because, let me add this caveat, because I can hear people's heads exploding now. Apple doesn't always have the greatest tech. They don't always have the latest tech, but the way their integration works, and now that they got their own M1 processors, it's a wrap.
Oh, this is the M2 one. It's the M2 now.
Yeah. Look, when you watch, just skip through the whole the WWDC, go straight to the Vision Pro and watch. It was so good that I got up from my seat and I was just like, what did I just watch?
The thing about it is Apple keynotes haven't been like that in such a long time.
Yo, this was different.
It'll be something boring.
This was different. Yeah. This felt like when the first iPhone was launched. That's what this felt like.
The thing about it is Apple has never been at the forefront of new technology. It's always just like
they make what's already there better.
Yeah. But they haven't really been doing that the past like 10, 12 years.
They did it with the M1. They did it with the M1.
For once.
Yeah.
For once.
And with this Vision Pro, they're doing it again. They're doing it again.
I'll have to reserve my opinions until I see it.
Yeah, I don't like the price. I'll agree with you. I don't like the price. But let me add this caveat. Once I watched the keynote and saw everything that it's involved, I was like, oh, I get it. I get it. Look, you know I typically don't say this. It's worth $3,400.
Get out of my face. It's $3,500 actually. It's not.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm not
now
doing
look,
it.
let me add another caveat. I'm not saying anyone's gonna want to pay for it, but I understand why they charge that price. It's ridiculous.
I'll have to watch.
It's ridiculous.
Because I'm hearing you, but I'm not hearing you. Like,
I get it.
I'll have to watch it and let you know. Because I'm like, because I've been angry with Apple for like 5 years.
Their prices are stupid. Their prices are stupid.
Their prices are redonkulous.
Yeah, they're stupid.
They don't make no sense. They have like a pin for like $900.
It's not $900, but I get what you're saying.
You sure about that?
Yeah, it's not $900. The Apple Pen, the Apple Pencil, I'm pretty sure it's not If it's $900, I haven't been paying attention. It might be because I don't follow Apple's pricing that closely, but I'm pretty sure the Apple Pencil is not $500. Now you're gonna have me.
All right, never mind. I was wrong.
Okay, I was getting ready to say that's a little. They super bugging on that one.
First generation's like $27 because it came out a while ago, but the new one's like $120.
Yeah, which is still stupid.
Not that bad.
Look, let's agree. It's
not as bad as I thought.
Yeah, but that price is still stupid. I remember buying an iPhone. I bought it outright, and I paid as much as you would pay for a laptop. And I was like, yo, why am I paying this price for a phone? What is happening? But that Vision Pro, look, I'm here to tell you that Vision Pro is something serious.
We'll see. I mean, it may, like, hopefully the price for the technology will drop in the next 4 years.
Which become more accessible. That's kind of what I expect to happen.
That same thing happened to like VR, because VR used to be thousands of dollars. Now it's like you can get one for like $400 or $500.
Yeah, that's fully what I expect to happen with the Vision Pro. I expect that the price is going to come down, but this, I'm telling you, when you watch the keynote, you're going to be like, yo. Like, I'm going to tell you how good it is. Apple Vision Pro is so good that I started calculating How many months could I
Could
save?
I buy? Could I buy
buy
this?
one? If I
How long
put
would it
away,
take me to save? For
yeah, that's my initial thought.
See, that's how you know you're gonna get it though, because there's certain things I'll do that for, and I'm like,
That look, I'm telling you that when you see it, I would be surprised if you came away and you weren't like, yo, Ready Player One is getting ready to happen. I'll show you another thing. So you know how you select different things on a Vision Pro? Once you look at it with your eye and that item is highlighted, how do you think you select it?
grab it with your hand.
Pinching your fingers. Anywhere. Pinch your fingers.
That's crazy.
The only area, because people have been testing it, the only area, because there's no cameras there, obviously, that you're able to pinch your fingers and the device not see it is if you hold your hands like behind yourself. But I think it was Marcus Browning said he was sitting on a couch and he didn't even realize he had his fingers like off the distance somewhere, and he pinched his finger and it selected something, and he was like, yo, this is wild. Why this is what he
Which
said.
makes me think, because isn't Apple buying up game studios like hotcakes?
Ezekiel, I'm glad. Okay. Glad you said that. Now, in the keynote, they show a game. Now, remember, Apple has their own chips now. They're not dependent on Intel. They're not dependent on Intel at all. I am recording this right now on an M1 Mac Mini. This thing outperforms any computer I've ever had. It doesn't matter what I throw at this thing. And this is already a generation old, a generation and a half old, this M1 Mac Mini, and it performs. This thing is like magic. I'm like, how is this being done in a machine this small? And I never hear a fan. When I tell you this, Apple displayed some things in gaming. Remember what I told you a couple years ago? Apple's cooking something and nobody's paying attention.
So I will say, right? Maybe this is why a bunch of their other tech has been lackluster as of late, because they're secretly focusing on something else, which is on par with what Apple does tend to do. Because you won't really hear much of them for a while, and then they'll drop something crazy, and we're like, oh my gosh, this changes everything, right? So, yeah, I don't know.
It's weird, right? I'm not gonna say,
because you remember when they dropped the console, or they tried to make a console back in the day.
I remember. Now you remember Apple also tried to release a touchscreen device years prior to the iPhone, and it didn't work.
I was not alive for that.
Yeah, and it didn't work. Not that it didn't work, it just didn't catch. So I believe, look, you heard it here. I'm not gonna say you heard it here first because other people have said it, but this is one of the first places you heard it. If and when Apple gets in the gaming, I told you so. So
I will say
they're going to. Remember, Apple does things different. They're not going to follow the traditional model. I think Apple will do something like work with Nintendo. Like, hey, yeah, we have some exclusive content. How can we work with you to create more content? How can we get some of your content on our stuff?
Nintendo's not going to bite on that. I'm sorry.
Nintendo may not bite on that. They may not bite on that. But I think okay, so
be like, internet, what is that?
I think anyone who's not paying attention to Apple when it comes to the gaming space is in for a rude awakening, because
what if they work with a company like id Software and they make like a Doom? Because they already have Doom via VFR, but if they did something like that with the...
When I tell you something like Doom on the Vision...
You're going to have nightmares. You're not going to sleep.
Look, there's things that I don't like about VR just because I'm skeptical of things and I don't trust the government, just keeping it real.
That's real.
But
know they actually patented a VR thing that kills you if you die in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how true that is, but I've heard
that's true.
About it. Okay, well, that's crazy. But back onto what I'm saying. Apple Vision Pro, and you remember my criticisms of VR. We've gone over this before. I'm like, it's trash. I don't like it. Apple Vision Pro made me feel like watching that video, I was watching the precursor to what happens in Ready Player One. That's what it made me feel like. I was like, oh, we here. We here. We are here.
Isn't that a little scary though?
It is scary. It's scary, exciting. Imagine the first time somebody.
Well,
Hold on.
because like think about it like this, right? Imagine what happens if Ready Player One becomes a reality. Right?
No,
The
it is
world goes to
completely-
crap. Everybody is
it's
just
completely
escaping
scary.
in the virtual
Yeah,
world.
which it really.
And there's one company
We already
that
have
rules
that.
over everything.
Well, we don't have
And
the
if
one
you
company.
have any problems with that, they capture you and put you in jail.
We kind of have that already. The left
don't know what
controls.
you're talking about.
The left controls all institutions.
You're making this up.
social
you're a
media is
conspiracy theorist.
like VR.
Nah, you're just a conspiracy
we all
theorist.
enter that social media space, and
I'm
the
sorry,
left
sir. You have to
controls
stop
everything.
being a fascist. Calm down.
So, but I say that I was gonna say, imagine seeing a television for the first time. Not only
Your
hearing
head probably would have
audio,
exploded.
but seeing motion, and you're like, bruh, what? What is the world is getting ready to end? So yeah, there's gonna be some bad things that come, but I think overall, as far as the geek space, so I know I'm going in on Vision Pro. Let me show you one thing they showed. Person is sitting down, so they have a 4K LED screen on the outside and the inside. When a person walks into your vision, cameras inside show the person outside your eyes. So it's not like you're cut off from the world. Yes, I am telling you, Vision Pro is different. You can add more of the world around you or remove it. So you can have another thing. I'm telling you, when you watch this, so let's say you have a Mac, you got your Vision Pro. You look down at your Mac screen, the Vision Pro sees that, brings that Mac screen up in front of you. Now you can do everything you were doing on your Mac screen, whatever it was, right there in front of you in a virtual space while still seeing the room around you.
So I'll have to watch because you're saying all this stuff, and it's like it's one thing to hear it. I got to see it.
When you see it,
I'll probably watch it later.
when you see it, you're gonna be like, "Yo, okay, Ready Player One is here."
Which makes me think because like VR games are starting to progress a lot more because the resources to be able to learn stuff like that, and a lot of the proprietary information is starting to become more open source. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do something crazy, but Apple and gaming, I think it's coming. I've been saying that for years, and I think my theory is being vindicated now. Apple's coming. They're coming.
Imagine if you can have like an interface that connects your phone.
Look,
to...
this is exact. Look, they have a built-in ecosystem that I think is gonna take this thing to a whole nother level.
Yeah, look, they got all those Facebook moms that play Candy Crush. They already got 1 billion users right there.
Yo, they got something going. They got something going. I think they're getting ready to do something crazy. But what else you have in the geek space?
What else do I have? The new Spider-Man collector's edition pre-order happened a few days ago.
Yeah, I didn't know
Apparently
anything
it was
about
selling
that.
pretty well.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 is coming out in October. It's gonna be great. Because I was like debating it. I'm gonna get a PS5 for that game.
Okay.
That's the only reason. I was debating whether I wanted to get one of the newer systems.
Aren't
and
they
I'm
going to
like,
release it on a PC as well? I thought they were going to release.
Yeah, but it's gonna be like a year later.
Oh yeah. Ain't nobody trying
They
to
have
wait
like a
that
year
long.
embargo and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm gonna get a PS5 just for Spider-Man. I hate to say it, and you
Okay.
can also put your old PS4 games into the PS5 and they work. So
Hey, Nintendo better be paying attention. That better be what's
they're not
coming
paying
for the
it.
next system.
They don't care what the fans want. That is Nintendo.
How does
new
Nintendo
to this?
still survive? I wonder that.
Because like they do things fans like, and then something that the fans would unanimously just be like, "Oh, this is amazing." They're like, "Yeah, let's do the opposite of that," which is weird because they're like two sides of the same coin at the same time. It's so odd.
Like, yeah, about that. Let's not do that. I don't know what happened. You went off center. I just had to center you back up. But
Oh, sorry.
it's all good. It's all good. You moving around. It's all good. But I think so. What am I excited for next? Yo, I think the Rippaverse is the most exciting thing in geek culture right now.
Well, it's one. I would say Spider-Man and the new Spider-Verse movie.
New
That's coming out
Spider-Verse,
in like
yeah.
8 months.
No doubt.
That's like the shortest
No
time
doubt.
between releases because they did it like Lord of the Rings, where they shot the movie the whole thing at once.
That makes
And the movie was
so
like
much more
5 hours,
sense.
so they had to split it up. Yeah.
Yo, and the animation on this one, like the different worlds. Yo,
Crazy.
how about the was it the 14-year-old that
14-year-old
animated that Lego
that
world?
made the Lego part. That is so wild.
So I think they said the producers saw it on what was it?
So
YouTube?
the producer was in a it was it was a podcast about this and he talks about it.
Okay,
Where
I have to watch
when
it.
they released
Send
the
me that
first
link.
trailer, yeah, when they released the first trailer for the new Spider-Verse movie, there was a 14-year-old that recreated the trailer in Lego, and they were like, "Oh, we got to get this dude to work on a scene in the movie." They didn't know he was 14. They were just like, "This is so good. We got to have this in the movie." They figured it out and they worked all the things out, and he did that whole scene.
That kid is destined for greatness.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That makes me so happy. I'm like, "Yo, that's dope."
To me, that shows that Sony has found something out that Marvel hasn't learned yet. The fans really control the space.
Which is weird because their live action comic movies tend to suck.
Spider-Man,
Morbius,
Venom. Venom was good.
Morbius.
They have some losses. They took some hits. They take some hits, but then they have some things that are great. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Morbius, I didn't watch Morbius, so I can't speak with firsthand knowledge, but I have heard that Morbius was trash. So I just take everybody's word for it. Because after a while, if so many people say something is trash, like I'm just obviously not just going to jump on a bandwagon, but when you get like the hundreds of thousands of people like, yeah, this is trash.
The thing that kind of makes it solidified is the fact that it's a meme, you know? Like when something becomes a meme on like Reddit or 4chan of like just being the greatest movie of all time, even though it sucks, that's how you know it's bad.
That's hilarious. Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, I didn't watch Morbius just like I didn't watch Eternals, and I'm not going to.
Mid-Turnals.
Yeah.
That was like oh my goodness.
Yeah, not gonna even.
I went on a date to see that movie. That was the biggest waste of $20 I have ever made.
So what else? What else do you like right now? Oh, you were gonna get back to your point on manga. You never finished the different reasons why manga has taken over the space.
Take me like 30 minutes.
Go ahead. Do what you do.
Right. So, it all started with Toonami and like the propagation of anime and manga in American culture, right? Which kind of like allowed it to become more of a normal thing, and then you hear like people like rappers and stuff like talking about it, which that had some part to play, but a bigger part is the fact that it's one cohesive story that doesn't split off into 8 different timelines depending on what you're reading, and the stories are good and the art is amazing, right?
Okay.
The art is amazing, and the stories are focused on like sometimes you could have your like sometimes you have some like crap anime that's just about like romance or like drama, which people like. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
But then you have manga and anime that talks about deeper things and deeper stories outside of the peripheral that makes you think about things instead of like you're just reading this fight scene like, oh, this is cool. And there are some like manga and anime like that too. But a lot of the ones that you'll find and it's not that hard to find because there's a bunch of them, and the stories are just amazing and the art is also equally as amazing. Right. And when you read stuff like comic books, you get like a lot of the stuff that's pushed and propagated is the crap. Right. And you have that in the anime and manga space, but it's mostly in the anime space. Because when you start reading manga, you get really into manga. The type of manga that you will find will make you rethink how you live your life. Like, I'm so serious. There's this one manga called The Climber that I read like a year and a half ago. And it pretty much is like a story about, imagine wanting to connect with people so bad, but you just do not have that ability because of how you were raised and how life has gone for you, right? And seeing someone go through that in the story of The Climber is so eye-opening. Like, it is just... And the thing is, I like, there's comic book stories, or like sometimes there's like a panel or something like that makes you feel that way, but the entire story of The Climber just pushes that so fervently that you're just like blown away by the end.
It's introspective, so it seems more. It invokes introspection as you read.
It does.
Okay.
Yes. Even like the subtle things, like how they draw certain things or how a panel's framed. It's you gotta get into it, man. I'm telling you.
I'm not opposed to picking up some
You're
manga.
opposed to it. Don't let him lie to you, y'all. He's opposed to it. I showed you Vinland Saga, and you were like,
Vinland
cool.
Saga's good. Vinland Saga
That was a year ago.
Vinland Saga's good. Now you gotta realize I don't have a bunch of time. You know, my time is split. My time is split.
This is important.
Because
I'm sorry. Call out of work. This is important.
I got a normal job. I got, a couple podcasts. I host a radio show, and I'm trying to read and review comic books.
See, I only got the normal job thing and a couple podcasts. I don't got the whole radio show. And
Yeah. So there's a lot of
everything
things
else.
going on, but I definitely want to pick up on some manga and probably read. I don't want to do it inorganically. I don't want to do it inorganic. I don't want to be one of these people that, everybody's doing it, so I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon now.
If you ask me and you want some suggestions on stuff to read, let me know, because there's a bunch of manga that I know for a fact you would love.
Okay.
Okay.
I think
whenever you cross that bridge, let me know.
and I think a lot of it is just due to what I'm used to in comics culturally, right? And I'm just being honest. Like, I'm used to a certain thing, and that's what I like. And it's not that manga's not good. It's just, you don't have something that I like. You might not be bad, but there's something I like that you're missing. And I'm just, that's a bridge that I have not been willing to cross.
Is it the fact that it's in black and white?
Black and white has a big effect. Not just that, just the overall presentation. I realize it's different because of a different culture, but it's just like, this is not really what I'm looking for. It's not that it's not good. It's like if you're looking for a car and you see a Lexus. Lexus is a dope car, but if it's not what you're looking for, it doesn't matter that it's a dope car. It's not what you're looking for. And I think that's what happened to me with manga. It's not that it's not dope. It's just like, this is not really what I'm looking for. But I may actually read some. I don't want to be bandwagon hype jumping. Right. So
Listen,
I'm going to do it. It's going to be organic. But we'll talk offline and
I'll say this now. If he happens to read a comic book, I am making an IRL vlog review with him in person, because I know it's not going to happen. He's been saying this for years. He's been saying this since I was a teenager. It's not happening, y'all. Don't believe him.
Okay, we'll see. It may not happen. I'm not guaranteeing you it will happen. It may not. But actually, ask Brooklyn. So we went to it's my youngest daughter. We went to a comic book store. Was it the week before last? And I actually went into the manga section and I was like, huh. And she was like, Dad, you're not going to buy any of that. I was like, I was looking at it, so I'm getting closer.
Did you though?
I did. I actually picked through
bought some?
No, I didn't. But
see,
but
you was right then.
I'm closer though. I'm closer.
Look,
I'd
be like me going like, I almost bought this Lamborghini. I went in there and looked at it. I was like, oh, it's actually pretty cool. Did you buy it?
But you can't afford no Lamborghini unless you got some money
don't know
stashed
that?
somewhere I don't know
You
about.
don't know that?
Would you selling drugs? What's going on?
Whoa, hey, whoa. Calm down. You're going to get banned on YouTube.
Yeah, for real.
You have another channel with a strike.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So anyway, I don't have anything else that I wanted to go over.
I have a new segment I want to start doing.
Go ahead.
We're going to do comic book of the week. So this week is on me. Next week, it's going to be your job to have a comic book of the week. All right. So comic book of the week, Black Science issue number 2. Black Science is a sci-fi multiversal story about the realism of discovering things you probably shouldn't have discovered and using it for things you probably shouldn't have used it for and facing the consequences of that. And it's actually a really dope story with very unique art that reminds me of Samurai Jack. And it's amazing. Issue 2. Great.
Okay. Yeah, Image Comics still doing their thing
Comics.
Years later.
Still doing their thing.
Still doing their thing.
80 years later.
Yeah, not that long. But yeah, that's good. That's good. So I think we will wrap it up right there. And to the people who have enjoyed our podcast here,
Sorry for the hiatus.
The Geek Stack, we're trying to get more regular in doing this. So I can't promise you anything. I'm just going to say we're going to make an attempt. Maybe there'll be another episode next week. Maybe there won't.
There'll be another episode.
But we will make an attempt, Lord willing, to make this a regular thing. Thank you, all you Geek Stackers. We appreciate it.